Hi guys. All right, today is the 26th. This is Tuesday, and today we started off our morning with continuing solving multi-step word problems with strip diagrams to help us organize our information. And we did that in Seesaw. So if we head over to Seesaw, head over to your activities, and in math, week 21. All right, again, while this is opening, again, the math here is, this first page is to track. So if you did, let me edit it here. If you did 10 minutes of eSpark and 10 minutes of Prodigy, then go ahead and move your little green. And then if they're not showing up, you might have to bring them to the front. There it goes. Oh, see, it's hiding. Let me bring it to the front. There they are. All right, so go ahead and mark your 2 days. All right, so today we started off on page 7. And again, as we're solving, we are recording our evidence and uploading photos. So let me move me out of the way here. So it says, at the flea market, Mike found 6 buckets of Legos with each bucket containing 4,509 Lego pieces. If he wanted to split the Lego pieces into 9 piles, how many pieces should he put into each pile? And so that one was, let's see, this problem right here. So we started off and we have, let me go back to the story here. We started off with the 6 buckets. So here I drew 6 buckets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they were empty at the beginning. And then after that, it says he puts, each of the buckets contains 4,509 Lego pieces. So again, I come over here and I put in 4,509 pieces into each of my buckets. All right, so in my head, I'm picturing, okay, here's one bucket and it's got all of these Legos inside. And then I've got another bucket and it has the exact same. Well, then it wants us to go and split them up. Well, in order to do that, we need the total. So we went ahead and multiplied 4,509 by 6 to figure out what this total of this this top part is. So I don't know, like if I were to split this by 9, I'd have to do each one. That's way too big of a job, way too confusing. So if we get the total first, then it's easier to go and split just one number versus all of this. So we multiplied, we found the total, and then once we had that total, we put it here to represent all the way across when we add up all these things, 27,054 total Legos. Then we said, okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of these different, what are they? I think they're called groups. I think they said, no, just pieces, Lego pieces into 9 piles. So we're going to take these 9 piles and we're going to say, okay, out of here, one's going to go here, one 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 here, and one here. Well, you're repeatedly taking away those groups of 9. That would take forever because you've got 27,000 of them. So what I did is I came down here and I divided that. So 27,054 divided by 9. It's really long, but guess what? It's the same process, step after step. So just practicing asking how many groups does that 9 go into that number, putting that group on top, multiplying it, putting that number on the bottom, subtracting it. If you have an amount left over, putting it up to the next number, and so on. Every single box, the same steps, and you should get 3,006. So what that means is that that's how many are in each of these 9 piles. All right, so we uploaded our work there. Number 2, now we've got some king size candy bars and each one has 1,600 calories. If we bought 3 candy bars and took 8 days eating them, eating the same amount each day, how many calories would you consume a day? So what we did was we took our 3 candy bars, 1, 2, 3. Each one has 1,600 calories. So 1,600 for this one, same for this, same for this. Again, there's that hidden question where we needed to find the total. So multiply them out, get the total. That's how many total calories there are. Then it says they want to consume the same amount of calories each day. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days that all of these calories are going to be consumed or to eat them. So I'm going to take this amount and I'm going to say, okay, I need to split this number into these groups. So again, first we multiplied to figure out how many total calories we had. Then we had to divide to see how many calories would need to be consumed in each day. And then this over here, I was just showing with our fact families, 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 50 is 150, 3 times 500 is 1,500. So taking this information and reversing it, so 1,500 starting with the total, move it over so you can see, 1,500 starting with the total, dividing it by those 3 groups gives us the 500 calories. So just the same rules like we know here, we can think about this. We don't have to do all this part. We can just think about, all right, how many, if we have 48, how many groups of 8 can we make? We can make 6. You've got these 2 zeros, so add the 2 zeros over. If you can't recognize that multiplication, that was one of those multiplication facts, 6 times 8, then go ahead and work it out, and you still get the same number there. So again, just working through, this is lots of information, lots of big numbers, but really just stopping and saying, okay, what pieces of information did I learn? How can I represent them? And then writing that down and then taking that and looking at it and saying, okay, I've got all this candy, all these calories. All right, let me see how much I have in all before I start going and splitting them and just taking it really just, speaking of candy, just bite size by bite size by bite size and really helping yourself to break down that story and think about it like it's real life. Think about if this was happening in real life, what it would look like. When I'm talking about these Legos, like I'm visualizing all of that in my head, and that helps me to kind of keep track of the story. So I explained how to do those 2. Now it's your job to do page 8. So you're going to do the story about Miss Johnson, then you're going to do the story about the contractor, and the whole time you're solving, or after you solve, I want you, just like I just recorded, I want you to record how you explained, and I want a photo of your work. So a photo needs to go here, a photo needs to go here, and both of them need an explanation. All right, then we got into our groups. We were continuing working with fractions and decimals. And then for reading today, we read about Johnny Appleseed. So we identified some characteristics of Tall Tales by comparing 2 stories about him. We talked about the author's purpose, so like what's the purpose of writing his story, and talked about the theme. Remember that theme is talking about the lesson, so like what lesson can you learn from him? And then that was all in Seesaw, so let me draft this. Hold on, my cords are going everywhere. Hold on, sorry. Okay, there we go. All right, so in activities, we went to, there we go. All right, going down. All right, reading whole group. So here, click on and open up from yesterday. All right, so today is Tuesday. All right, so again, we're identifying those characteristics from the 2 stories. So here we read all about Johnny Appleseed. There's a recording right here for you. comprehension questions, if you found your answer in the text, please go highlight it. So if it's, if it says, growing up, this is what Johnny's goal was, go highlight it in blue. If you find out where he liked growing his trees, go highlight it in yellow. So match the question, match that evidence, and when you're done with that, filling out these, we headed over to Johnny Appleseed, and you have the book there in Epic. There's the name and the book cover, so you can see which book it is. And then over here, we compared them. So what did we learn in the first story? What did we learn in the second story? What did they have in common? And then these were 3 things that we talked about at the end. So, do we think that Johnny was able to go across the whole country? Why do you think authors embellish and exaggerate, stories like Johnny Appleseed? Like, what's their purpose for adding all those things in? And then, what can we learn from his story? What's the theme? What's that lesson? All right, and then tomorrow is Wednesday. Get to the crazy cats. All right, when you are done with that, you have your group work. So A and B, you guys are reading this story. Group C, you are reading this story. Make sure you are recording. And if there's activities that we did, it's all on the agenda. So you can go and you can look at the small group directions, and they tell you exactly what we did. And then for writing, we started off, where is it? Tuesday, right here, Monday through Wednesday, writing dialogue. So let me actually open up mine. I made myself a separate copy. So here you have where we left off. All right, so yesterday we were talking about identifying when the speaker is first. So we started on page 9. So we did, just kind of a review, and students shared some sentences they made. And then on page 10, my numbers are a little bit different because I told them to pick either the kids or the robots. I picked the robots. And so I said, hello, my name is RoboDude2000. He says, nice to meet you. So when you've got these speech bubbles, you know who's talking. But when you're just writing, you don't have speech bubbles. So you need to identify the speaker, and you need to identify what's being said. So it says, the taller robot said, comma, hello, my name is RoboDude2000, period, quotation marks. So notice when I start talking, all of this right here, hello, my name is, that part, that's what's being said. So that gets hugged by those quotation marks, and the punctuation, that period goes at the end. The smaller robot replied, comma, open, capital letter, nice to meet you, period, close. All right, so that was kind of summing up what we did yesterday. And then today, the new stuff is when you've got the speaker at the end. So here, instead of these where it was like Miss Snyder said, now you've got this orange box at the end. So now what's being said is at the beginning. So open, capital letter, you are nice. Instead of putting that period, since we're not at the end of the sentence, we put a comma, quotation marks, said Josh, you are nice, comma, end, said Josh, period. So we typed that down below. Then we said we need to make sure that our quotation marks are on the outside of that punctuation. Okay, so they go on the end, like this one. The stars are bright, comma, and then you end the quotation marks. So we corrected this one, and then here is where we left off. So we did all the way from page 9 to 12 in there. And then we went over to Seesaw, and we went to our composition. And today we looked at introductions. So when you go through here, all right, let me edit this. All right, so these first 3 papers were someone else's, And we looked yesterday at, why, they might have gotten a rating of a 2 or a 3 or a 4. And a lot of it was, with the 2s and the 2 and the 3, it was just lacking details. And so, especially in the one that had the score with the 2. So severely lacking details. And so today we were looking at this 4 rating, and we were looking at let me move me over here. We were looking at this 4 rating, and we looked at the introduction. So it says, again, remember, this is you're writing about your favorite place, explaining what makes it special to you. So it says, the introduction's right here. It says, what's my favorite place, you ask? That's easy. The dock at my grandma and grandpa's house. You can fish, think, or grab a chair, and your family you can grab a chair and your family and watch the sunset. To most people, it's just a plain old dock. To me, it's the opposite. So we took that information and we're kind of mirroring what they did there, and we're adding in our own things, but using kind of that same format to practice. So starting off with that same question, what is my favorite place, you ask? That's easy. My grandparents' lake house, period. You can ride motorcycles, comma, play in the dirt, comma, and collect petrified wood, period. To most people, it's just a plain old lake house. For me, it is the opposite. So literally took it right off of his page here and but I put in things that are specific. So, you may not know what it means when I'm talking about, like, why is she riding a motorcycle and playing in the dirt and collecting petrified wood? I'm just introducing those ideas of these are some things, of why this is some things that are there at my grandparents' lake house that made this a special place for me to go. Then I don't want to, and this is the thing that I saw, I had everybody turn theirs in so I could go ahead and peek at it. And the thing that I saw, number one, is we got to know when to stop a sentence. Okay, so right here, um, once you go from one idea to the next, you need to stop and put some end punctuation there, or else those ideas, they just all run into each other. Okay, you say something and you stop. Or if you're going to combine ideas, there's rules. You have to have those fanboys, and you have to use commas, and you can't just throw a comma. There's a certain rule for commas. So just really making sure that you don't have these just really big run-on sentences, and that your ideas, you let people pause and you let people think about what it is that you said before you go on to your next idea. And so here, sorry. Here again, we're not trying to write our whole paper in this one little, like if you go back to theirs, this one little section right here, this 1, 2, it's only 3 lines across. Those 3 lines right there, that's the introduction. Okay, so all of this right here is the introduction. That's all we're doing. We're not trying to write the entire paper. The majority of the paper is what's coming up next. Okay, the body part, I think, yeah, this part right here, the body part of it. All of that is where that, if this is our hamburger, this is just the bun, this is the meat, the cheese, the vegetables, all the good stuff. Okay, this is just a quick little snapshot of what this paper is going to be about. So I'm not going to explain what I mean when I say play in the dirt, and I'm not going to explain what petrified wood is. I'll do that later in the body. I'm just giving a little quick snippet, a little quick preview of what I'm going to write about later in the body. Okay, it's just introduction. It's introducing this idea, or these ideas. And so one of the biggest things I saw besides the run-on sentences was you're trying to say too much. Just make it simple. You do this, comma, this, and then stop. Okay, that's stop. Don't add any more details. We'll add the details in the body. Okay, details go in the body, not the introduction. Introduction should be short, quick, and to the point. All right, so tomorrow we will get into to the body. And we're going to talk about some descriptive words and things that we can use to describe that place. All right, so for now, hit the green check, because if you haven't already, I want to see kind of what you do with it. And before we go into the body, I want to make sure we're all good to go. Got markers flying at me, sorry. All right, that we're all good to go on the introduction before we move into the next spot. So check, if you send it to me, check your comments so I can read those. All right, next thing. We went to lunch, went to recess. All right, science. So in science, well, I put it up on my wall. Hold on, let me go grab it. Science. All right, for science today, we reviewed shadows, what we've been talking about. So here, I'll put tape on this, I got it. All right, so here's our little person. And here's, this way is pointing to the east. So let's say if that's east, then this is west. So in the east, the sun rises. It's very low to the horizon. And so all of the sunlight is hitting a big portion of us, which creates a very long shadow. Then you've got this pattern that the sun is traveling throughout the day. At the highest point, noon, that's where you find the lowest shadow. So as the sun moves higher and higher and higher, your shadow gets shorter and shorter and shorter. Then when it starts to go lower and lower and lower, your shadow gets lower, or it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So the lower it goes in the sky, the longer it is. The higher it goes in the sky, the shorter it is. They're kind of like opposites. So we reviewed, positions, how we could tell, what time of day it is and all that, and shadow length. So once we did that, then we headed over, back over to Google Classroom, and we did this called Tuesday Science. And with this, you're either going to highlight your answer or type in your response. So to highlight something, you just click, hold, and drag. And then you go up here next to the A, and it says highlight color, and you just click what color you want it to highlight. So if it's something where you can click and type, then you're going to type your answer. So you're going to tell me what is a shadow. Then like here, I would click something and I would go and I would highlight. So here, going back to our photo, this one's talking about which one would cast the darkest shadow. Well, the reason why this is so dark, this shadow is so dark, is because the light is not going through my body. But we know, going back to when we talked way back with light energy, we talked about how light can go through some different materials, just not all of them. And so thinking about the different materials that, what it would look like if I if I took my flashlight and I shined a light at this paper, would there be any light that, was able to travel through it? And thinking about that, go back to this question here. So which one of these would when I say cast, would make the darkest shadow? So think about that light traveling through it. What's going to block the most sun? Because remember, that's where you get that shadow created, is having that light being blocked. All right, number 3, move the shadow where it would appear. So your picture's right here. You've got this guy with the flag, and the sun is here. You're going to click the shadow, and you can drag it wherever. Should it go in front of him? Should it go behind him? Should it go on top of his head? Should it go up in the sky? Where's the shadow at? Same thing with this one. And then number 4, here, this time you're dragging the sun. So the shadow's already there. You can click the sun and you can drag where would the sun need to be to create a shadow that looks like that. Then number 5, again, you're going to highlight what is the position of a shadow from an object. Is it on the opposite side? Is it always in the front of the object? Is it always on the same side as the light source? Or is it always in the back? of the object. So once you answer those, you can X out and make sure that gets turned in. I still have 10 of you that need to turn that in. And then for social studies, you have some links. If you go to your agenda, we read here about a lady named Jane. So there's information on here. And then you can go to your Monday through Friday social studies and you can read about her on the Tuesday page. And we talked about she's a like a news reporter, and we talked about why people well, this first question kind of goes with it, like why people were shocked. Here she is going out and she's talking to all these people, and it was a very different time for women, so we talked about that. And so this was kind of, it took her a lot of, like, she had to have a lot of bravery and courage to do what she did, because not a lot of women at all were doing what she was doing. So we read about her, answered 5, 6, 7. So move your little red dot over, and that was that. And then at the end of the day today, we went over and we our reading assessment that we took the other day, just the short little one, the CFA. We did a review of that. So students, most everybody had got 100 on that, so that was awesome. I could really tell that you understood the story, you were going back, finding that evidence. So those I put in a breakout room, and they had some extra time to go work on some things from the morning, or to go do one of the choice boards. And then those that had missed a question or two, we went over them. So hopefully we can get all those right in the future. So that was our day. And then, we finished our book with Edward. And so we started playing a little Kahoot game, going over some of the questions from some things that happened in the book. But then we had a fire drill, so that got cut short. So maybe we'll continue that tomorrow. Let me make sure, nothing else. All right, guys, I think that's it. Make sure that you are doing lots and lots of reading. So make sure you're reading your books, because you should have quite a bit read by tomorrow, so we can really start digging in and talking about them a lot deeper. So thank you for watching. Hope you had a good day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.